All right, we're recording right now. This is our first experience on Zoom. So, those of you that are watching, please be patient with us because we don't have a clue what the hell we're doing. I'm with Carlos from Dream Auto Sales right now, and I wanted to talk to him a little bit. I've known Carlos quite a while. He's about 30 miles from where I work from, and he started his dealership. Well, I'm going to let him tell the story about when he started, how he's doing, and what he loves and dislikes about the car business. So go ahead, Carlos. Tell me.
Well, I started back in 2017. That's when I actually got my dealer's license. At first, I was just flipping cars, but the state ended up catching me and ended up paying a fine. And now I'm a dealer. So, I mean, that's the best thing that, happened to me. But we started just selling cheap cash cars. Now we're into the buy here, pay here business. So it's a whole different ball game. But we're doing good. We just bought our actual location, and then I've got probably about 50 cars on the lot. I don't floor plan or anything like that. So this is where we're at.
That's fantastic, man. I see you a lot on Facebook, and uh, do you have a price range of cars that you're dealing with primarily?
At first, it was, under 3,000, 4,000, just cash cars. Now it's more in the 6 to 7,000 as far as retail price goes. And ACV, probably looking at about 3,000 in each car. But I am doing the buy here, pay here, so I do price them up a little bit higher, and then I do got to fix a lot more stuff than I normally would on just a cash car.
Yeah. So are you putting a lot of your money out on the streets, though, aren't you?
I am
Yeah. What's your repossession rate?
not as much as I first thought. I know this month we've had, well, not this month, but last month we had, I think it was 5 repos, but out of 90 to 100 customers, 5 repos a month is not too bad.
Oh, that's less than 10%. So that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
So um, you enjoy the income that you got. They're pretty much paying on weekly basis or biweekly or monthly or what?
Most are weekly. I have a few biweekly and very few monthly, but I do have a
Right.
few that do monthly.
I look at your inventory quite a bit, and I see some pretty nice cars out there that $8 or $9,000 that you're probably getting uh, 1,000, 1,500, maybe $2,000 down. So, man, I'm just curious how in the hell that you do that. I mean, because you I mean, you're probably putting some cars. It looks like to me you're probably putting $2 or $3,000 of your own money out there.
On those cars, which are the nicer SUVs, those I kind of hold off just for my good customers, the ones that have been paying for a year or they have a decent trade in. Uh, those I want to upgrade those customers into something nicer. It's
Right.
harder to put somebody that just shows up with no credit check, no nothing. Uh, that I kind of look into a little bit more. Unless they have, the full down payment, taxes intact, then I can't work with them. But if I've got some history with them, then it's easier to work with that person.
Right. And so pretty much everybody comes in on a weekly just like they should. Are they paying you online or they're bringing cash or checks in or what?
I got a few that do auto pay, and then most of them either come in or they'll call over the phone, and we'll run their card.
Right.
I have maybe 20% actually come in and pay cash or money order, but most of it is on either through the phone or it's just ran through a debit card.
Now, your business is kind of a family business. I know your wife is working with you and your dad is doing some mechanicing with you, I'm assuming. And
Yep,
so it's kind of a family business. Don't you think that really helps you out a lot as far as your success?
it does. I mean, it's hard to find a good mechanic. I've
Right.
got maybe 2 shops in town that uh, are you there? My phone kind of
Uh,
cut off.
yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, I've got two shops in town that I send cars to, but most of the time when I send them, they're there for about a week or two. So it's not something that a lot of times it's something simple. And with having my father running his own mobile mechanic business, then he's able to come here at night and work on my cars.
Right.
Same thing, having a shop, I can work on them myself. And then my wife, she normally deals with all the office stuff. We've got my mother-in-law working for us now. She's also in the office selling the cars and doing some of the office stuff with her.
Right. Your leads now, are you getting much out of, you're in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and the population there is not huge. I mean, it's growing quite a bit, but I know that you probably have to um, get some business outside of Shelbyville. Um, is that coming through Facebook or what?
Yeah, most of when we first started, it was just doing the buy here, pay here. It was just people who lived in Shelbyville. Now we've got a few from Murfreesboro, Lewisburg, Tullahoma, I think Manchester. We'll go out up to 35, 40 miles from where we live, but that's also going to depend on, how much they can put down, what their income is. If it's
Right,
somebody with just 500 bucks, not, too good of income, then I'd like to keep that locally. But somebody
right,
from 30 miles away shows up with 2,000 down, then I'll probably work with that.
right. Now you're getting them to I noticed that on one of your ads I just saw recently that you're pulling some credit scores now that they've got to have at least a 550 credit, not got to have a 550 credit score, but it helps them if they've got the nicer vehicles, they've got to have a decent credit score.
Yeah, those that I put that out on, it was
Right,
I think it was a Mercedes. I've got a
right,
Mercedes. I've got a few other cars that I like to drive myself that
sure,
I normally have, 6, 7,000 in them. And they on those I've got a local finance company that can usually get people approved. And I know
right,
their minimum requirement is 500. I put 550 on there because the higher it is, the better chance of it getting approved is. But
right,
I can say maybe we do 5 deals a year that way.
right. Yeah. So now this is your second full year or third?
This is our third full year.
Yeah, third full year. And you bought your property that your lot is on.
Yep,
That
where
is
we're at now
fantastic.
that we bought it.
I drove by it actually the other day. I hadn't been in a hurry. I wanted to stop and see you, but I was very, very impressed and very proud of you because I remember when you first got started, you weren't you mechanicking at a Ford dealership?
Yeah, I was. Well, I was a
Yeah.
salesperson at the Ford dealership.
Oh, a salesperson there.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So when you first jumped out, I know that you were a little bit concerned about taking the leap, but I'm sure you're glad you did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. So what do you foresee coming next year? I mean, I know that we talked a little bit earlier, and I want to talk about that right now. That you kind of slowed down on your buying right at the moment because of the end of the year. Did the pandemic have anything to do with that?
Not really. At first, it did affect us, but here it's kind of just evened itself out. At first,
Right.
we had quite a few customers who were calling, they couldn't make their payments. So we worked with them. If they had half the payment, then we could, waive any late fees, work with them that way. I could probably say out of during that time, I was at about 60 customers, and maybe we had 5 repos throughout it all. That was because of
Right.
COVID. And that was just them losing their jobs and they didn't want to have that payment to pay. So they just brought the car back.
So you being able to work with them, I think that did a lot for you because if they would contact you at least they didn't have all the payment, but the main thing they stayed in touch with you.
Yeah, that was the main thing.
Right. They tried to avoid, didn't you? How far have you had to go to pick up a car, a repo?
The farthest I've gone myself was, I think, 7 hours to North Carolina. It was either
Right. I
7 or 8
remember that.
hours. And that was on a Toyota Camry. I almost went to California to get one, but we were able to talk her into coming back and just turning it in. And
Right.
she said she would, but when she came back, she was planning on just loading up all her furniture and heading back. But we were able to get it before she headed out.
Oh, she was going to sneak in and sneak out.
Yeah, we could watch it on the GPS where it was on the way here. She would tell
Right.
us over the phone that her husband was going to drop it off. Something just seemed odd. it got here, and then I think 2 days went by, and she never dropped it off. So we rode by there, and they were loading it up. So we just decided to stop and tell them we got to get it.
Yeah, no lie, man. That was smart watching. But I mean, what did she think? I'm sure I don't know if you even got to talk to her, but when you're putting GPS is pretty much on anything you put out, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
And so was she not aware that you were able to track that?
she was aware, but I can say, we've got the disclosure closure forms. It says it on there. We tell them in
Right.
person when they're doing the paperwork, don't pull the GPS off, or else it will automatically send out to pick it up. But by the time they're driving it and they get late, then I think they just end up forgetting about it. I've only had one person pull a GPS off, and I could tell it was, their payment was late. We would call them, they wouldn't answer, and then all of a sudden the GPS signal would go away. But
Right.
that we went, and I mean we got the car 2 days after. It's not too hard to find people nowadays.
No, those GPSs are amazing, man. I've some of the things that I've been able to pull out. I had a vehicle that I loaned someone one time and they took off with it. And it was a GPS that saved me. But I will tell you this, I want to tell you this story because some of the others may use it. If you actually, unless it's the buy here, pay here like you, um, the police will not get involved. In my particular case, I had actually gave the person the keys to one of my vehicles to go out and get something out of the vehicle, and they drove off with it. And I used the GPS to find it, and then I called the police to come and help me retrieve it, and they would not get involved. They said because I had handed the person the keys that they just wouldn't get involved as
Yeah,
far as a theft report. In your particular case, buy here, pay here would be different, I'm sure. But in my particular case, man, they just no, you gave them the keys, and so we'll make sure there's no trouble. But as far as getting involved and helping you retrieve it, we won't do that.
I know
So
we had one that came on a test drive, and they actually were planning on stealing the car. It was just weird from the beginning. They showed up in a taxi from out of state, and well, it was an Uber. I think they flew to Nashville, got an Uber down to us, and it was on an old car. It was a like a '06, '07 Avenger, and I mean they had their suitcases. We gave them the keys to test drive the car. They loaded the suitcases into the car, and then we was watching it on the GPS, and it got to Fayetteville, and then it crossed the state line. I called the local police department. They said they really couldn't do much. I was like, it already left the state. They were
right.
like, well, they're on a test drive. We can get them for joyriding. But we called Alabama, and the police department down there would, followed it and stopped it. And we went, got it, sent them back. They got them for, I think it was just joyriding. That's all the charge was. Um, but I never heard anything back from them. I got like a $50 check in the mail from the courthouse saying that, because when they asked me, what kind of damages were made, I just told them, it's $50 in gas to go get it and back. So I got that back. But that was really it. The main thing was that we got the car back.
Yeah, really. My first day in the car business, I had a guy do that was back in 1981, I think it was. Or no, it's 1980 that I had a guy come in and bought a used car, and I thought it was really strange when he bought the used car. He was asking me a lot of questions, but we carried him up to finance and got him financed. And about 3 days later, a dealer in North Carolina called us back and said that our car that we had gotten him approved was up in North Carolina, and he had gotten a job with them at a demo and took off in their demo and left our car there. So this guy was just on a bandit run riding around. It was
Yeah.
funny. Yeah. So what's on your agenda today? What's your daily routine? I know you opened at 10 today, this central time.
We open at 10, we close at 5. That's when my wife or her mom is either here. I usually
Right.
show up around 11. I don't come in early. Um,
Right.
unless I have to go to an auction, then I'm up there early. But here lately, I'll come in at about 11, and then I'll actually end up going home around 8:30. Um,
Right.
I'm just kind of used to the second shift hours.
Sure.
Uh, but I've got a Subaru that I'm working on, so I'm trying to get that done and ready. I got a lot of money tied up in it. I want to see that thing run, and then
When
I've
you're
got a
doing a
few.
motor on it?
Yeah, doing the whole engine. I bought it non-running. I knew it was gonna
Right.
need an engine, and
Was it
I'm
from
putting a whole.
Copart?
No, that one was from Manheim.
Manheim. Yeah.
Yep.
So are you
So
going to a lot of auctions now?
no, here lately, let's see. I can't even remember the last time I bought something from an actual auction. I've been buying just backlot and ACV.
Oh, the ACV that you're buying the online auction?
Yep, online.
Shane did that once, and he thought it was the greatest thing under the sun. But my Shane had a habit of not really paying attention, and he bought a 4-wheel drive Explorer, and it really did look nice on the vehicle. But they do a great job of the way they post vehicles. But when we got it in, we found out that it didn't have a front drive shaft, and that was about the
Ah,
only thing that didn't show any photos on it. So
yeah, yeah. You've got to watch the photos. I had one that it was a Denali, nice truck, but the passenger side fender looked like somebody sprayed it with like it was just a beginner. They did a worse job than what I could have done as far as
right,
painting it. Uh, so I had to eat that one. I still made profit on it. I mean, all I did was just wet sand and make it look a little bit better. But
right.
yeah, you got to watch the pictures and pay really close attention to stuff like that.
But all in all, you like the auction pretty much.
I do. I think I've bought probably about 90 vehicles, and I've had arbitrate a few of them. But most of the time, I mean, I can just either send them to the auction and break even, or make a little bit of money.
Right.
Just
From the
depends on what it is.
ACV, just from that site alone.
On ACV, I've bought probably 20, and then on another website, Backlot, that's where I've bought most of them. A
Right.
lot of those on there I'll buy that are about $2,000-3,000. Cars that at the auction at Manheim, they would just be as is. Well,
Right.
on Backlot, you've got the 5 days to test drive it and see, if it's something major. Then I've called them and they've been pretty quick as far as either refunding the money, picking the car up, or just cutting me a check for whatever they missed on it.
Now, do you have to have those vehicles transported in, or are they that close enough to you to pick them up, or
I,
what?
I get them transported.
Right. So, do you lose your transport fees when you do that?
No, if I get it through them, do the transport through them. They pay for the transport fees. They pay for what I paid for it. I get all my money back on it.
That is
As far
absolutely. I've
as
never even heard, as long as I've been in the car business. I didn't even know. Now, how old is Backlot?
that, I have no clue.
You've
I
been using
know
them what?
I've been using them for about a year now, or going on a
Right.
year.
Well,
And
that's
then
fantastic. That's some great information. I want to talk about your paint jobs a minute because, man, it looks like you're coming right along with that paint work.
yeah, slowly trying to learn
Yeah,
all that.
that Saturn, I'm kind of like you when you did that video on it, and the color looked like it wasn't going to match, but it
Yeah,
came out so close. Other than the blending, like you said,
yeah,
that was it.
yeah.
But
That's one thing. I've got a Jetta that I'm working on, and I'm gonna try to blend that one in on the hood. So I hope that comes out better.
right.
But yeah, the Saturn, it surprised me.
Yeah, it looked good, man. I got some stuff over here at the I've got some stuff that I'm going to try to bring over to you on consignment. I'm actually starting to, of course, I don't know that you've noticed or not, but I'm actually going to a new car dealer over here for reasons being that I want to get access to more inventory and their trade-ins. And so I hope to be calling you soon and some of the stuff that would fit on your lot, bypass the auction fees, getting them to sell it to you direct, and
Yeah,
stuff they're not going to keep. And I don't even know what that is, but that's my hopes that will happen. And that's what I mentioned to you this morning, in working with you, because most of my customers are in your price range because you're in the same price range we were. And so I still have a lot of people that contact me. Obviously, when they find out you're in the business, then they're going to contact you. Hey, I'm looking for a car. And I don't have an outlet for that. Mine are going to be new cars or late model used cars. And that's why I'm hoping to establish you as an outlet for it, because you're close. So hopefully that'll benefit us both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something, that could work.
Yeah. So we're going to end this now. I've certainly enjoyed. I've enjoyed Zoom. I've enjoyed talking to you and getting to hear about you. And folks, I want you to tune in to this guy's channel. It's Dream Auto Sales in Shelbyville, Tennessee, right?
Yep.
And so I want you to tune into his channel, because I guarantee you, if you watch the way he's progressed along, and he does things that really are just very bright. I mean, the painting of his vehicles, I've seen some. I saw some of his first paint jobs. They were a lot better than I could have done. But the way he's really improved now, I mean, that Saturn, I couldn't believe, like 2 base coats and a clear coat. I mean, hey, it looked good. It really
Yeah.
did.
And
And
it
so,
was cheaper than I was expecting, because on that one I bought 2 kits. I bought a whole kit where it was just the base coat already mixed, and
right.
it was $100 for one kit, and that, I mean, I've still got half of that left, so I could have
Yeah,
done
I
probably
noticed
two
that.
doors on it, so it was a lot better.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
It looked good. And so, I'm really proud of you, man. I hope to get to see you soon. Like I said, this COVID has really got a deal on me, and I think it's really a lot because of my age too. I'm afraid to get out, and I'm very cautious about passing it around. I didn't see my family over the holidays, and don't have any intention of seeing them over the holidays, because of the simple fact you never know where somebody else has been. And so I don't want to hand it off to anybody. So that's why this Zoom has been so important to me, is because, hey, uh, uh, I'm gun shy, man. No mask, no visitation. I just don't do it.
yeah,
And so, but anyway, again, I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to hit the record button. I want to get that done. Then I'm going to send you a copy of everything we talked about. And with your permission, I'll upload it. And then you'll be able to also to download it and post it to your website as well. And so I think that, because you're kind of like me, just a good old Southern boy that love to help people, love to talk to
yeah.
people. And so, yeah, stay tuned for his channel. Subscribe to this channel. Be sure to go to Carlos' channel and subscribe to it, because this young man has come a long way fast. And he did that by being very smart. So thank you. Subscribe it. Carlos, I'll talk to you soon.
That works.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
You're welcome.